Okay, in today's tutorial we're going to be looking at how to make a cinemagraph with Photoshop. And first of all, I guess I should show you what a cinemagraph is. This is a cinemagraph right here. Just an example. If you go online and take a search for them, you'll find lots of examples. Essentially, it's an animated GIF, but there's a little more to it than that. Wikipedia describes it as a still photograph where a minor repeated movement occurs. If I go back to the infinite Coke example here, you can see just that is happening. You've got the still image with this repeated element, and this is something that we're going to create in Photoshop, but we're going to be using video for this. Now, it's not to say that you can't do this with time-lapse. You certainly can do that, and we may create another video for that if people want one. But for today, we're going to look at how to create one in Photoshop. And I have a finished example here that we can look at real quick here. I'll just play this. As you can see, there's the moving element and the still, and I've added a couple other items in here as well. So let's make this cinemagraph happen. So the first thing that we're going to need to do once you have Photoshop open is to get your video file into here. There's all sorts of ways to do it. You can go File Open, you can take your video clip and drag it onto the icon and open it that way, and that's what I'm going to do. Once you've got it opened up in Photoshop, your timeline should pop up. If it doesn't, you can go up to Window and you can choose Timeline, and this is where we can see our video and we can play it back and forth. And if you've noticed, there's a timeline button here. Of course, you can use your space bar just like in any other program to play your video. And the thing about cinemagraphs is you typically want them to be short. And if you're taking some video like this one here, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on that I probably don't need. So I'm going to trim some of that out. And that's really easy to do. Just take my mouse here and I'm going to scrub over to the end, and at the front I'm going to push this in, because typically if you're looking at a GIF, they're going to be really short, right? So I'm going to hit play here. Okay, that's perfect. That might be exactly what we need, and that's just going to loop over and over and over again. So what I'm going to keep in this particular cinemagraph is the aperture here, the aperture opening and closing. I don't want my hand moving and that sort of thing. So once I've trimmed my clip down to what's usable, I'm going to create a still image, and I'm going to mask it and reveal the, in this case, the aperture underneath. So this is actually fairly easy to do. I'm going to drag my playhead over to a point where I want my hand to be, and maybe it'll be right here. And what I'm going to do, once I've done that, I'm going to go Command A to select all, and then I'm going to go up to Edit, and I'm going to go Copy Merged. Okay, and then after that, I'm going to go and paste. So that's Command V. And as you can see now, I have this other clip, and it's that still image of where my playhead was previously. Now the problem is this has popped in at the end of the timeline here in this video group 1, and I want it over top of this original layer. So in order to do this, simply just drag your layer 2 here and drag it out of the video group and over top, and you can see there it is, and you can move it into place, and you can drag it out to match up with the original video. So now if I drag my playhead over top of this, you can see I can't see the video underneath because I haven't made a mask for this. And if you're unfamiliar with masks, they simply hide and reveal things. And I'm going to quickly make one here. I'm going to add a mask by clicking on my Add Layer Mask button. And then I'm going to take a selection tool, in this case the elliptical marquee, and I'm just going to drag out a marquee over my my lens here, and I'm simply going to delete this content right here. So with my selection, I had cut out that hole in the mask, and once you've done that, then you can simply scrub over your video, and you can see there it is. That moving content is revealed underneath, and if you're happy with it, clap your hands. This is admittedly a really simplistic cinemagraph. And of course, if you have other moving content that's a bit more challenging, not unlike the example we saw with that Coke can and glass, then there is another way of doing this that will help you create a better mask. And I think I'll create another video for that with a different example. But for all intents and purposes, this is how to do a simple cinemagraph. Hopefully, you'll be able to do the same. If you do want to see some other videos on this with some more advanced features, certainly let us know and we'll make them, because you can do all sorts of stuff with this. You can add multiple layers, you can add adjustments, you can mask out far more complex things than this, and of course you can do this with time-lapse material as well. Anyway, I hope this gets you up and running, and maybe you'll be making your first cinemagraphs in no time flat.
So one thing I forgot to mention in the video before was how to export your finished cinemagraph. To do that, you're going to go down to this little curved arrow, which is your render video button. And once you click on it, it opens up this window. You can give your project a name. We'll call this Camera Aperture. And then you can select a folder. I'm just going to put it on the desktop for now. And then you can choose the type of video that you want. And then when you hit render, it'll process it. And as you can see, it's exporting the video right now. And then you'll have a workable video format, or file rather, that you can use for the web or sending to your friends or whatever you want to do with it. And that's how you get your finished cinemagraph out of Photoshop.